Listen up, because what's happening in California right now could either save the electric car revolution or kill it completely. And here's why you need to pay attention. California just announced a $200 million electric vehicle rebate program, but there's a twist that's making automakers absolutely sweat. And if you want to understand where your next car purchase is heading, you better hit that like button and subscribe right now, because this story has more plot twists than a Hollywood thriller. Hey, this is Mark, and you're welcome to AUTOSAYS. So here's the deal. Governor Gavin Newsom's administration just dropped the details on Monday, and unlike anything we've seen before, they're telling car manufacturers if you want California's money, you gotta match it dollar for dollar, which means this isn't just a $200 million program anymore, it's potentially $400 million flooding into the EV market, but only if the automakers play ball. Now, before you think this sounds too good to be true, let me hit you with some history. California used to run something called the Clean Vehicle Rebate Program that ended back in 2023, and over a decade, that program burned through $1.49 billion to help 586,000 people buy electric vehicles. So they know how to do this. But here's where it gets spicy. The federal EV tax credit? Gone, completely eliminated by the Trump administration, which is why California is stepping in. But they're not just handing out free money to everyone. Here's the kicker that's got current EV owners absolutely furious. This new program is only for first-time electric vehicle buyers, which means if you already took the plunge and bought an EV, congratulations, you're getting nothing. Zero. Nada. And people are calling this a massive slap in the face to loyal owners who believed in the technology early. The California Air Resources Board says they're doing this to expand the market and introduce new consumers to zero-emission vehicle technology. And apparently their research shows that once people switch to EVs, they never go back to gas guzzlers. But is that fair to the early adopters who took the financial risk when EVs were even more expensive? Think about it. Now, let's talk numbers, because this is where your wallet comes in. Passenger vehicles priced at or below $55,000 will qualify, and if you're looking at vans, SUVs, or pickup trucks, the cap goes up to $80,000. Plus, Bloomberg is reporting there'll be incentives for used EVs priced below $25,000, which could be a game changer for budget-conscious buyers. But here's what we don't know yet. How much is each rebate actually worth? The state hasn't announced that yet, and they're supposed to finalize those details later this month, so we're all sitting here in suspense wondering if it'll be $2,000, $5,000, or something completely different. But wait, there's more drama in this story. Remember when Newsom first floated this idea back in late 2024? His original proposal would have excluded Tesla vehicles entirely, which made Elon Musk absolutely lose his mind. And now, in this updated version, many Tesla models are suddenly eligible again. So what changed? Political pressure? Public backlash? We can only speculate, but it shows you how much power and influence is being thrown around behind the scenes. Here's where the story gets really tense, though. The California Air Resources Board recently met with representatives from Ford, GM, and Chrysler, the Detroit Three, and let me tell you, that meeting probably felt like a funeral. Why? Because all three of these automakers just canceled their flagship EV programs. Ford wrote off an estimated $19.5 billion. GM took a $6 billion hit, and they're basically admitting defeat in the electric vehicle race, at least for now. Some people think they canceled these programs just to kiss up to the anti-EV federal administration, hoping to save money on emissions rollbacks. GM estimated they could save $750 million from federal emissions rollbacks, but at what cost to their long-term survival? Sarah Swig, senior climate advisor to Governor Newsom, didn't hold back, calling the Trump administration's rollback a reckless retreat that created unprecedented uncertainty for automakers and families alike, and she emphasized that California is proud to partner with automakers who are committed to the zero-emission future through shared investment. But here's the billion-dollar question. Will Detroit actually put up matching funds when they just pulled the plug on their EV programs? Would you invest in something you just publicly declared you're abandoning? The relationship between California and Detroit is ice cold right now. Last September, Newsom went nuclear on GM, saying CEO Mary Barra sold us out. So asking these companies to now contribute matching funds feels like asking your ex to help pay for your wedding. Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it.
The incentives will work like the old federal tax credit did, applied immediately at the point of sale when you buy or lease a new EV, which is actually pretty convenient because you get the discount right away instead of waiting until tax season. And the California Air Resources Board is planning a workshop this spring to gather stakeholder input, with more details being finalized in the coming months. But let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, because this isn't just about California. This is about the entire future of transportation in America. California is the largest EV market in the country. What happens there ripples across the entire nation. And right now, we're watching a high-stakes poker game where the state is calling the automakers bluff, saying put your money where your mouth is or get out. And the automakers are sitting there with losing hands, wondering if they should fold or go all in. The irony is brutal. Automakers spent years cooperating with federal regulators to undo California's air pollution progress, thinking they'd save money short term. But now they're being asked to invest in the very market they helped undermine. And if they refuse, they risk losing access to the wealthiest, most environmentally conscious car market in America. But if they participate, they're essentially admitting they were wrong to cancel their EV programs in the first place. Think about what this means for you as a consumer. If you've been sitting on the fence about buying an electric vehicle, waiting for the right moment, this could be it, but only if you've never owned an EV before, and only if the automakers actually agree to match California's funds, and only if the final rebate amounts are actually substantial enough to make a difference, and only if your preferred vehicle falls under those price caps. That's a lot of ifs for a program that's supposed to save the EV market. The whole situation feels like watching a slow-motion train wreck mixed with a high-wire act. California is betting $200 million that automakers will match their investment. Automakers are betting their future competitiveness that pulling back from EVs was the right move. And consumers are caught in the middle, trying to figure out if going electric is financially smart or a risky gamble. And here's the part that should terrify everyone. If this program fails, if automakers refuse to participate or the rebates are too small to matter, it could signal the beginning of the end for America's electric vehicle transition. Because if California, the most progressive state on climate issues, can't make EVs work financially for regular people, then what hope does the rest of the country have? But if it succeeds, if those matching funds materialize and thousands of first-time buyers flood into dealerships, then we might be witnessing the birth of a whole new model for how states can drive industrial policy without federal support, essentially creating a laboratory for what post-federal subsidy EV markets could look like. The California Air Resources Board spokesperson Lindsay Buckley says they'll finalize program details, including incentives for new and used vehicles, later this month. So we're literally weeks away from knowing whether this bold experiment has teeth or if it's just political theater. And depending on what those numbers look like, you might be seeing a completely different automotive landscape by spring. So what's the bottom line here? California is making a massive power play, forcing automakers to choose between access to America's largest car market and their recent decisions to abandon EVs. The state is weaponizing rebates to push an industry that's currently running in the opposite direction, and consumers, especially first-time EV buyers, are about to find out if they're the winners or just pawns in a much bigger game. The stakes couldn't be higher, the timeline couldn't be tighter, and the outcome couldn't be more uncertain. But one thing is crystal clear: the decisions made in the next few weeks will echo through the automotive industry for decades to come, determining not just what cars Americans drive, but who builds them, where they're built, and what powers them. This is history being written in real time, and you're watching it unfold. So stay tuned, keep your eyes on those finalized rebate amounts coming later this month, and whatever you do, don't make any major car buying decisions until you see how this plays out, because the game just changed, and nobody, not California, not Detroit, not even Elon Musk, knows exactly how it ends.